It's fantastic to be here in Dublin and in Europe. It's the start of a busy week for me to be traveling across the continent and talking about the Microsoft Cloud. But before I talk about the implications of this technology, I wanted to get to the very foundation of what drives everything in our company, which is our mission, which is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And when we talk about this mission, it's really the North Star that drives every decision we make. Every customer interaction, every product that we build is shaped by this mission. And there are many key parts to this. For example, we as a company care deeply about both people and institutions that people build in order to outlast them. Even in terms of a software construct for us, it's very important to think about organizations that people build. We, of course, think about this at a global scale. I myself am a product of that. We democratize technology. We make sure that it reaches every corner of the globe. And that's what led me to get to my first PC and then the rest of what I was able to achieve. The last part is perhaps the most key defining characteristic of our company, which is we, of course, pursue to build world-class technology, but it's not our technology. It is about what happens with our technology in the hands of our customers, our partners, whether they be small business, multinational companies, entrepreneurs, or the public sector. How they can transform using technology and achieve more is at the center of who we are as a company. And going forward, that mission manifests in what is a very rapidly changing world. I describe it as this mobile-first, cloud-first world. We have a very particular point of view by what we mean by mobile-first, cloud-first. For example, when we say mobile-first, it's about the mobility of the human experience spanning all of the computing in our lives. It's not about the mobility of any single device. It's actually the mobility of your experiences across all of the devices in your life. And of course, the way to achieve that mobility, that seamless ability to move between devices and have your apps, have your data, have your experiences wherever you are, is only possible because of the cloud. So that's why both of these changes are happening at the same time. In fact, they reinforce each other. Even when we think about the cloud, we don't have a very narrow point of view of cloud. Cloud computing is not just a single destination. It is a new way of how compute, storage, and network come together and create, in fact, a new distributed computing fabric. So, for example, in our case, we are even building out our servers so that they're the edge of our cloud. That technological point of view or that worldview of technology is what's shaping how we're building out our cloud, how we are building out our applications in the cloud like Office 365 and Dynamics, also how we're building out Windows 10 and devices. That's really at the center of how we think about our own technical ambitions. But ultimately, it's about the digital transformation that customers and partners and every organization is the design point for the Microsoft Cloud. We're building it out as a global hyperscale cloud. We now have over 30 regions across all parts of the globe, making sure that there is access to the cloud. In fact, right here in Europe, we now have data centers in Ireland, we have data centers in Amsterdam, we have data centers in the United Kingdom, we have data centers in Germany, and this week we're also announcing the expansion into France. That is more regions than any other cloud provider right here in Europe. We've invested over $3 billion to really deliver this global scale cloud all across Europe. And in fact, just in the last year, the capacity has more than doubled. The second aspect that we are very focused on is trust. Not only are we building out this hyperscale cloud, but we're building out the hyperscale cloud so that it can address the legitimate digital sovereignty needs and other compliance needs of European countries. It's that real-world understanding of customer needs and needs of operating in various countries that has even led us to build out, for example, our German cloud with a model where we have a German trustee, in this case Deutsche Telekom, operating that cloud infrastructure. So trust and scale are some of the most important elements of our design point for the Microsoft Cloud. The last one, which is true support for distributed cloud infrastructure or hybrid, turns out to be perhaps one of the more unique points of view that we have in terms of how we think cloud computing will shape the future. I said earlier that we are building out our servers as the edge of the cloud, especially with the prevalence of IoT. As there is more and more data that gets generated in the edge, you will need more both storage and compute in the edge. So you cannot just have a throwback to just centralized computing anymore. You need true distributed computing fabric, and that's what we are building out through both Azure and Azure Stack. So these three aspects of building out a global, trusted, and hybrid infrastructure is what differentiates our approach to building out a public cloud. Now, of course, ultimately, the cloud is about powering the next generation of applications, especially at the infrastructure level. Throughout our history in computing, it is always the next generation applications that have driven infrastructure. And when we look at this current generation of applications that people are building, the thing that's going to define these applications, that characterizes these applications, is machine learning and artificial intelligence. And therefore, we're building out Azure as the first AI supercomputer. And what I mean by that is not only do you have the capacity when it comes to CPUs and your ability to run any compute job using virtual machines, whether they're Linux or Windows or containers, it is also supporting as first class some of the best GPU compute capacity. Because when you think about machine learning, especially deep